Hey, all, welcome to the FlashQuotes podcast, the world's greatest podcast for mobile event businesses of all shapes and sizes. I am joined today by my FlashQuotes friend and co-founder, Justin Goodhart, also of Goodhart Coffee. Hey, Justin. And we're going to be hanging out with Melissa Sandoval today from Intuición Cafe in San Diego, California. Did I say that correctly? I kind of looked up the pronunciation. I think there's a little TH in there. Maybe it was too much.
That was like the Spain Spanish. I love that.
Definitely the Spaniard way, but you got it.
Okay, Intuición.
Great.
There we go.
Intuición. Very
Intuición.
similar to English intuition. It has the same meaning. Your sixth sense that, like, I always get asked from people, what does intuición mean? I always tell them it's your intuition. It's that little voice from your soul that is telling you something that your mind hasn't still processed. So it's your intuition talking to you. So our business slogan is actually coffee for the soul, because when you have that first sip of coffee, that first taste goes straight to your soul, that first sip, and that's where it comes from.
Nice. That's amazing. Well, Melissa, you're from Colombia, right? Born and raised there, and that gives you kind of a cool perspective. And obviously, coffee is a huge thing there, amazing roasts, and you don't have to look far to see your passion for finding amazing beans and roasting them and delivering them to people. Can you tell us a little bit about your origin story, the origin of the business, and how, where you came from and were born kind of plays into the journey and the business and what you do?
Totally. Yeah. So I was born and raised in Medellin, Colombia. As a little girl, my mother and I, we migrated to the United States and kind of like went to school here. I grew up in Florida, Miami, Florida. I went to school for broadcast journalism and kind of like worked my way through the news industry for almost a decade.
Wow.
And realized that I was climbing the wrong corporate ladder a little bit after the pandemic. And that's when I realized that I wanted to do something different with my life, because it was a harsh, demanding career, unsustainable lifestyle, harsh hours, very demanding. And even though I love the storytelling behind every story, there was something missing. There was a purpose missing, and I just didn't see myself doing that for the rest of my life. So in 2021, I went back to Colombia to visit family after the pandemic. And actually, my husband and I told him we should go to the coffee fields. We've always been, big coffee lovers. And I actually grew up like drinking black coffee. If you ask anyone, that's like my drink of preference. Like, I just like black coffee. And so I told him, I was like, we should go and see, the coffee fields and see what it's like. Because, you always get the fancy, nice coffee shops here in the US, but you don't really see the behind the scenes and the hard working people, the farmers behind it. So we went to one coffee field in Colombia and immediately like fell in love with everything about it. I was fascinated by their stories, fascinated by the industry. Kind of wanted to, like before in my journalism and still journalist like role in my mind, I kind of wanted to give them like a voice, because everyone here in the US would see the nice coffee shops, would have a great coffee, but I'm like, where are these people in the chain? Like, there was barely any pictures of them, barely any recognition, not getting paid good or fair trade. And that's where the little idea came out about of like, you know what? I'm going to interview the farmers. I'm going to tell their story and how are we going to profit out of this and how are we going to make some money out of it? We're going to import our coffee beans from Colombia and we're going to sell the coffee beans, which we still do, but it's not our main source of income right now. But we sell our coffee beans and then we give 10% back of our profits to them. And then I interview them and people get to see on our website and on YouTube the stories behind, who's cultivating the coffee, who's doing all the hard work, how long does it take? And people watch these videos and they're like, I had no idea that it takes up to 2 years for a coffee plant to grow. People don't even know that it grows as a cherry. And I'm like, I
Mm.
can't believe you drink this every day and you have no idea how, like the process of it. So that's how kind of like the idea, the concept of the business model started back in 2021. It took me almost a year to fully launch. So we launched Intuición Cafe on 11/11/2022.
Wow.
Ooh, it all adds up. That's so nice.
I'm very like spiritual and very like into numerology and big manifestation. Like I try to align a lot of like the things around.
Just
Yeah.
the numbers like that. That is really, I mean, that's
Yeah,
cool.
well, 11/11 has that meaning behind it. That means, prosperity, it means growth, it means abundance, it means something that is going to grow. So I was like, what better way to launch this on a day that means that has this big significance behind it? And I was just working behind the scenes, like the logistics of importing the coffee, all the permits, building the website, designing with a graphic designer our coffee bag, building our website and designing their logo. So many little things that whenever you start doing something, you're like, what the hell? Like, I had no idea what I was like getting myself into.
Yeah.
So I also kind of like give myself that deadline of like, I need to do this, like launch on 11/11 or I'm never going to do it because, that meaning that's saying that they have like, do it now, regardless of how perfect it is. And then you just start improving it and you'll start like finding the ways in the time that you're doing it. So kind of like set that deadline for the business to launch. So yeah, that's how we started, by selling the coffee bags and, just giving the farmers that voice and that story behind them. As I started knocking on doors and going to public events, community events, and trying to give that brand exposure to the brand and to the company, we started realizing, because we would set up literally with like one portable table, one of those containers where you make black coffee, and our nice display of our bags. And we would give like free samples of black coffee. And people would be like, can you give me a cappuccino? Can you make me a latte? Can you do this? And I'm like, how in the world do you expect me to make this with like black coffee? I don't have the equipment. I can give you brown sugar if you want. But in my mind, I feel like before all the like evolution of the coffee cart, in my mind was like, I just want to sell the black coffee because that's what I'm used to drinking. That's how I grew up. But little did I know that everyone here likes, milk, sugary drinks, and other stuff that you need to be able to like give in order to, serve everyone. So we saw the demand, we saw that there was that necessity and that, that intrigued for people to like taste their coffee in a different way. And that's when I realized, I was like, wait, there is another business model that we can get ourselves into and potentially like make it bigger and better and make more profit out of it. So a few months later, so we launched in November 2022. And then on February of 2023, was it 20? Wait, no, I have the dates wrong. A year later, almost a year later, 2024. Yes, February of 2024. That's when we launched the coffee cart.
Wow.
So yeah, it took me almost a year because I was still working my full-time job at the news and trying to do like weekends, go to events and do, brand exposure. And then I also was trying to educate myself a lot in the industry of the coffee catering, paid a lot of money for a consultant to kind of guide me and throughout the whole thing of what I needed, because I had never worked at a coffee shop. And I'm like, I don't even know how to make like a latte per se or anything. So I did do a lot of like research, a lot of work, kind of like, workshops, educated myself in the industry. And in February of 2024, we launched our coffee cart. And 2 months later, I quit my full-time job. So basically kind of took a leap of faith. Also because my contract was coming up with the news station where I was at, and it was either re-signing a new contract for another 2 or 3 years or just leaving. And I just told myself, I was like, I'm not happy here. I'm not going to resign, and I got to make this work. The coffee catering company, yes or yes, there's no plan B for me. So I got to make this work, whatever it takes. I think I only had like 3 months of savings, but I just took that leap of faith and I just said, let's go, let's do it.
That's incredible. There's a lot to unpack there. So in the beginning, you were so captivated by really the origin story of coffee. I mean, that story reminds me a lot more of like what someone who starts a coffee roastery might go through, right? I mean, just falling in love with the farms and the origins and, wanting to highlight the story of the farmers. Like that to me is like, oh, and you kind of did like, then you were selling beans. So even if you weren't maybe, I don't know, were you roasting them yourselves or like sourcing the beans, having someone roast them for you and then selling the bags early on? Is that
Correct. Yeah, that was kind of like the chain and how everything worked. So we were sourcing the beans directly from the farmers. There was like no middle person or no big like companies in between. And this, at the same time, I was in Colombia trying to like record them and interview them and editing their stories so that people can see like the hard work and everything behind them and just selling the coffee bags here. So we would import our coffee every 2 weeks. It was freshly roasted in Colombia. Yeah, in Colombia, and then would import it here and we'll do all the manufacturing and the packaging and all the delivering here. Because here's
got
the
it?
thing, in order to bring green bean from Colombia, then you need like some type of different permits. And that's where it gets a little more complicated. But if it's already roasted, then it's not considered like a living organism
Got
and
it.
comes a lot. Like the logistics of it just and the permits just become a whole easier.
Interesting. Okay, that's cool. So it was Colombian roasted as well. So, then you found, you set up this business and you find that no one is excited. Very few people are excited when you're out kind of giving them samplers of black coffee. They're asking for lattes, cappuccinos, sugar, and you're like, this isn't the point
I think
here.
like there is a very small not community, but like percentage of people who really appreciate specialty coffee
Yeah.
in the way like a pour over Americano. And not to say that there isn't, because there is. But at the same time, a lot of people were asking for the other stuff. And I just felt like I needed to bring it more. I need more. I needed to bring it to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I still to this day, when people ask for drip coffee, like, yes, I can do drip coffee for your event, but you're going to pay, whatever it is, a couple $100 or more for me to bring drip coffee. And it's all going to go to waste because no one at your event is going to get excited about it. Like very few people want a drip coffee that's been in a urn for a couple hours when you can have a fresh made,
Exactly.
latte,
And it
cappuccino, that
happens all the
thing.
times when we go to like corporate events or like venues or even a lot of hotels. They already offer that free drip coffee, and people
It's
have that
terrible.
misconception that they're going to have that. But once they see the coffee cart and all the other offerings, I mean, no one goes there, right?
Yeah.
Even if they ask for an Americano or drip coffee from, like, they'll ask for it with us instead of having it where it's been sitting there for a while.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that business was, you were selling some beans here and there, but it wasn't really moving. Was it moving the needle much financially? And when did you realize, oh, we could do a cart and actually the cart is the way to go?
Totally. Yeah. I think about like 6 months to 8 months in, I mean, we tried and we still sell it, but it's like a plus and it's like a side thing now where we still sell our coffee bags nationwide and some people still love it, but it's not our main source of income and it's not like our main business model anymore. But so around 6 to 8 months into it, started to realize that people in the community really wanted something else. And that's where I started researching and I started like a barista course, certify myself, paid a consultant to help me and guide me through everything, like through the behind the scenes, building a coffee cart, setting up equipment. And I mean, thankfully I had the help of my husband from start day one. He kind of like did all the plumbing and YouTube University, a lot of things that we had no idea how to do. um and yeah, so that's when we launched on February of 2024 the coffee cart.
Real quick, we don't have sponsors or ads on this podcast because we want to keep it 100% focused on helping you grow your business. But we have one favor to ask. If you're getting something out of these conversations, it'd mean the world to us if you could subscribe on YouTube or leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcast. It takes 30 seconds. It helps us reach more event business owners who could really use this info and helps us grow the pod. So thanks for listening. That's it. Back to the pod.
One thing that has stuck out to me in the story so far is the power of constraints. And I think that is such a important thing for anybody listening who has ambitions to start a business or grow a business, that you can actually kind of create constraints out of thin air that can still be super powerful, right? 11, 11, 22. I like the numerology of it. I like the way it feels. Let's put that a flag in the ground and say, I'm going to launch this business by this date. February 2024, my contract is coming up on my, current employment. I'm going to have to renew a big contract. My heart's not in it. Like, let me take that leap, right? And you hear about people having this burn the ships mentality. Like, there's no going back from here. We can only go forward. There is only one way. Incredible art, incredible achievements, incredible business performance usually is born out of some sort of constraint. And I think that is just such a cool thing that you've shown even early in your journey, the power of those constraints to grow your business.
Yeah, I think a lot of the people who in any type of industry are not doing whatever fulfills them, because I'm not going to lie, like I was happy at some point of my life doing what I was doing, and it was my childhood dream and I achieved it. But I got to a point where I had to put everything into perspective and balance it out. And I didn't have any like work-life balance. It wasn't fulfilling as it used to be. The pay wasn't even that good. And I was just like feeding my ego, but not really fulfilling that soul of mine or that meaningful thing that I wanted to do with my storytelling. So what I was going to say is that a lot of people, they're afraid of rejection. They're afraid of starting over. And you got to be really uncomfortable in order to get out of it and to be able to like do something and try something different. Unless you don't hit like down bottom rock, like if you're not that uncomfortable, it's because you can still like put up with it. So I think that's where I got to that point where I was like, I can't keep doing this to myself or doing this career because it's self-destroying. Like it's not sustainable on the long run, mentally, physically, economically, in every aspect. And I was like, I can't keep doing this for the rest of my life. If I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So I actually live by this phrase, let your faith be bigger than your fear. And I have it tattooed on one of my side ribs. And I live by it. It's like, you got to let your faith be bigger than your fear. And it doesn't matter if you haven't done this in the past. Like I mentioned, I had never worked at a coffee shop before. But as long as I feel like there's always like three things that any person would put them up for success in any type of like industry. And for me, the first one is there has to be passion and like a purpose behind it. So those two for me go together, discipline and perseverance. I mean, passion and purpose, because you have to like what you're doing. And for me, that was like the storytelling part of it, giving that voice to them, keeping my roots alive and keeping like my home country and showing everyone what that good coffee that we have. The discipline for me was like structure number one. You got to be structured. I mean, being your own boss, you guys know this. It's like one of the best and like the best feelings ever. But at the same time, if you're not holding yourself accountable for it, no one is there to give you a 3-month every evaluation or, like no one is telling you you're late or no one is telling you didn't answer this email. Like you got to hold yourself accountable. So that discipline to have in any type of like business or industry that you're doing. And then perseverance for me, it's kind of like doing the things over and over, even if you don't feel like doing it. So you got to get comfortable with the idea of doing the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There's no more sick days. There's no like it's you and it's your reputation. And that for me, it's like bigger than anything else.
Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. I mean, that is so true that without courage and without faith to go out, you can't, there's no discipline, there's no perseverance, there's nothing if you don't have first courage and faith to actually step out and begin pursuing that path.
A lot of people come into this coffee catering, espresso catering, having been in that world, been in coffee, know how to pull a great shot, know how to pour a great cup of coffee. I'm sure your black coffee was amazing, but it sounds like the lattes and the cappuccinos was new territory to you. Did you feel scared? Did you feel any imposter syndrome?
100%.
How did you push through that?
Well, first of all, let's start with the idea that everyone knew me out there for Melissa, the news reporter. And I'm going into a whole new different like field of mine that I had no idea what I was like getting myself into. So yeah, a lot of like that self-doubt and like, what am I doing? Like, is this really gonna work? But at the same time, I knew that I didn't want to like kind of go back to a corporate lifestyle anymore. And I feel like that part of like getting educated and certifying myself as a barista and learning like the concepts, like you just learn as you go. And I still cannot do a lot of like the pretty latte art. My baristas do, my husband does, but I'm like, let me concentrate on the admin work and closing the deals, and you guys do what you guys are best at, you know? And so we just complement each other so well.
Yeah. I actually, I feel like I see that people who start as baristas and love the craft first and foremost, sometimes it's easier for them to start, but it's harder for them to really grow and scale because, at least in my experience, I've seen it for years. The hardest thing to teach is sales and is kind of that white collar, you're communicating as most coffee caterers know, you're communicating with often big brands. And so like learning to feel comfortable and how to just have the right presence and communication to be interacting with these people that may be very high up at very large brands, US or national or worldwide brands is the challenge. And the sales piece is often the biggest constraint. And so single cart, baristas, they can start their first cart, but it can be very, very hard for them to exceed that threshold, get the second, third, fourth cart. But I have often seen people who have more, white collar experience or sales experience are really good at building rapport and relationship with people as their primary skill set. If they can get over the hurdle of the plumbing problems and all of that, then they can really actually grow much faster after the initial speed bump.
I agree. I think it wasn't until 3 months in with the coffee catering company that I realized that I wasn't here making beautiful coffee, and yes, it sells. But I always tell everyone, I'm like, that's the easy part. Making the coffee is easy. The hard part is closing the deals and making people love with a product or something that they haven't even had a chance to taste, because we don't have a coffee shop. So people often ask us like, can I try your coffee? There's no way. We don't have a physical store. So I think there has to be like a combination of a lot of things. Sales, definitely your pitch, how you present the company, the communicative part with that goes behind it. FlashQuotes has helped me with that aspect of looking more professional and, making speed up the process. So yeah, I think after I changed my ship and my mentality about like, I'm here in the sales industry and the marketing industry, not really in the coffee world, which we are, but that's just the end product. We are first selling and making people fall in love with the product before even tasting it. That's where I think we started really to see like bigger results and getting bigger contracts and having the opportunity to serve all these like high brand and profile brands that I've never really thought we could do.
So the number one question we get is, what software do I need besides FlashQuotes to help me grow my business? So we decided to put together a cheat sheet. It covers everything from scheduling tools, communication tools, payroll, basically every category of software you need to run a growing event business on top of FlashQuotes. You'll save a ton of time, energy, and money trying to experiment with other tools if you just take our word for it. We've tested them all, and we have a great list for you. So it's free. You can just scan this QR code or go to flashquotes.com/software tools and download that free cheat sheet. All right, back to the pod.
Share some of the early challenges. I feel like some of the stories that people really resonate with most and so are some of the challenges. I've shared how one time I drove an hour and a half to an event, forgot the grinder, and had to do all this crazy stuff to try to make it happen. I've had baristas fail and not show up for events to Ferrari and all sorts of things that like most people would be crazy embarrassed about, and like things they would maybe only ever tell like a very close friend after a drink or two, right? And you don't have to necessarily go that crazy, but I know that the stories about struggle and challenge that you overcame or, rebounded from, I think resonate with a lot of people. Do you have any, challenges or things like that come to mind where, maybe things didn't go perfectly, but you recovered or handled it and moved on and had some good lessons from it?
Absolutely. I mean, we faced a lot of challenges, especially because, like I mentioned, this was so out of my comfort zone. Let me think of something that can really like highlight to that.
Come on, give us your journalism skills. Let's go.
I mean, I just feel like it's been so hard overall. It looks so easy from the viewer's perspective, but I just feel like the inside, it's been so hard, like this whole journey,
Yeah.
that so many challenges. I mean, from the plumbing, from like breaking the cart apart, lifting the machines, sometimes you're like, is this gonna work? But like, I don't know, I have to come back and think of like,
All good, all good. All good. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's just, oh yeah, one time we forgot to, or I would definitely ones where, especially when people don't use FlashQuotes, sometimes they were like, I got a email that morning and they were wondering where I was. And like, I forgot to add the event to the count, stuff like that. It definitely happens. All good. It sounds like more people should have started their business on 11/11.
key to success.
So you start in February of 2024 is when you launch the coffee cart, and what has been that growth what does that growth look like? And it sounds like you've pivoted the entire business to be fully coffee catering. How's that journey looked?
A lot of ups and down, a lot of learning throughout the journey, a lot of like, let's say yes and find a way of doing stuff after we say yes to it. Like I had one event with Sage and Ulta where they asked for us to do teas and with, those, I don't know what they're called, those drops of like ashwagandha and all those infusers.
Adaptogenics and all that. Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, we don't do this. And I told my husband, you know what? I'm going to send a quote. Let's see. I mean, what can go wrong, right? What I send the quote and they're actually interested. And the person who was coordinating like their marketing agent was like, I know you guys don't do, like, they knew we didn't do that, but they're like, you have really good reviews. And I was just wondering if you guys can make this possible. I mean, send out a quote. And then they're like, we want to move forward. Let's do it. And I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Like, I don't even know how to do this. So I think like a lot of it, a part of it, it's saying yes first and then finding a way of doing it. I mean, like I said, YouTube University can teach you a lot of things and you make it better as you practice it and do it. So we did do like a lot of test runs and a lot of things in the meantime in order to like come through and give this event what they wanted. I had so actually this is the way that I got my second coffee card. So I had an inquiry. I'm never going to forget this. This was around like March of this year March or February. And it was a corporate event at the Sheraton Hotel. And it was around 800 to 1,000 people per day. And I only had one coffee card. And I met up with the client and told them everything. And I was like, the only way I can do this is with 2 coffee carts, a team of 4 baristas, this, and that. And they were like, okay, let's do it. And I'm like, in my mind, I don't have a second coffee cart. I don't have a second coffee cart. I don't even have the staff. The moment they put in the deposit, boom, 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 order everything. Let's go. Second coffee cart, here we go. Like hire new people in less than a month, train them, do everything. And it ended up working. Everything came out seamlessly. They were so happy. I mean, we already knew what we were doing with one. So I think it was easier. Obviously, you just like repeat the same thing with the second one. But this is how I actually launched my second coffee cart with just one event that I knew it was going to pay off this part of the second coffee cart, most of the equipment. And instead of saying, no, I can't, or I don't have the ability, you just say yes and you figure it out on the way.
That's well said. That's a theme. I definitely hear that theme a lot of business owners, coffee cart owners, saying yes and then rising to the occasion. And it's I think a hallmark really of all at least great coffee cart business owners, where they'll say yes, they'll rise to the occasion. And we do have, the privilege of some lead time, but turning that all around in a month is very impressive. That's super inspiring.
It was very stressful, I'm not gonna lie. I think I had like few panic attacks, insomnia throughout the nights, not sleeping, of thinking of all the logistics and everything behind, but I don't regret it. I don't regret it because it just opened up the opportunities for more events. And we were already at the point where we were already getting like quoted for second events or bigger scale events. And I knew that that was the only way that it was going to make ourselves like available and be able to fulfill those bigger corporate and conferences events that we are doing now.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so you're at 2 carts. I don't know if you know or if you're comfortable sharing, but how many events have you done in the last year? Or do you expect you'll do this year?
Yeah. So we are with 2 carts right now. We are averaging around, I would say around 20 to 25 events per month, both of the coffee carts. During slow season, which was the summer, we did an average of like 15, 10, 15. It wasn't as slow as I thought it was going to be, but definitely slower because I had some weekends off and I was like, what is this? What do I do with my life?
Yeah.
I don't have a rough number of how many events we've done per year. My husband would know that because he does the numbers.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably close to, right? I mean, if it's 20 a month, that's around 250 to 300 a year, roughly. I mean, depending on seasonal slowdowns, but yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. And right now, I'm at the point where I'm already saying no to to a third event, especially on the weekends. So I think our next goal and our aspiration for the near future would be to get our third coffee cart.
That's awesome.
I feel like we can right now, but like we have the request, but we gotta first get a warehouse. So we're actually also like in the looks for that and trying to like structure the business a little bit better and grow it a little bit more so that we can be able to like fulfill the 3 events because I can't split myself in 3 or in 2. So it's that's where we are right now. But hopefully in the near future, I think my goal is for the first trimester of 2025 to launch our third coffee cart.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
super exciting.
So you guys market Intuición as a real premium offering, very, very high quality offering. Obviously, the coffee and the beans and the sourcing is a part of that equation. When you think about your journey as a journalist for a decade, has that played into how you think about the marketing, the sales? How has that kind of informed how you operate the business?
100%. Yeah. I think that if anything, that's like the best thing that that journalism life has left me, the ability of like being able to communicate and really connect with people in a deeper, meaningful way. Because honestly, I feel like anyone can have pretty pictures of coffee and anyone can be a great barista. But if people are not connecting with your product, people can see a pretty product and like it. But if people don't have and see that meaningful story behind it, or at least in my way, I think that's what has helped me a lot, that people can resonate a lot with that. In today's world, people want to see that you have like your company has more meaning to just selling something. So I feel like people are able to connect better with our story in that aspect and with like the farmer stories in that way. And yeah, it has definitely helped me a lot. Like the journalism helped me a lot with like the communication skills, getting that empathy to connect with people, really listening to their needs and what it is that they want from us. And then I think I also wanted to add like also the marketing part, even though I didn't go to school for marketing. I wish I would. I would have gone to school for marketing or business. I feel like with the journalism, like the part of like recording, editing, and being able to like do my own social media, and it's something that I enjoy and I feel like I have a good eye for it. That has helped me a lot to market and expose the brand, in meaningful and connection way.
Do you tend to get a lot of leads from Instagram and social media, or is it very heavily kind of Google search, SEO, website driven?
So I think it's a little bit of both. It depends on who it's looking for, because I feel like corporate and offices and big conferences and hotels, they kind of tend to come from Google. And then from Instagram, I also get a lot of like, weddings, baby shower, or like smaller events. But then I also feel like the Instagram, once I send like the first quote and my first email, our Instagram kind of like gives people that perspective and that presentation of who we are and what we do. So it goes a line after it comes through Google. I'm like, okay, let me show you what we can do.
Nice. So how have you, integrated FlashQuotes into your flow. We're thrilled to have you as a part of the FlashQuotes family. And maybe you can just talk a bit about how you've been able to use the system to convey your story and your brand value and help with your sales cycle.
So before FlashQuotes, we were doing everything. I was doing everything manual. Like my husband made an Excel sheet for me to put in like the number of people, the hours, and it would kind of like automatic like come out with like that automatic like number. But I would still have to put in everything manually. And I was using Square in order to like send invoices. And there was just so much missing into like I would have to like do Google Calendars on my own. Everything very manual. And I'm very structured and very organized, but it was just take too much time. Now I think we started incorporating FlashQuotes around April or May of this year. And I mean, not only the ability of sending quotes in a faster way and from anywhere, but also like the presentation, the ability of the customer, the client to be able to add any like customization, the brand, the cups, the decals from the coffee card or the logo printing, like little add-ons that it just facilitates the communication process behind the whole, like closing the deal, closing the quote. It's like a game changer, 100%. I mean, I feel like in this industry or anywhere else, if you sleep on it, like they'll just get other quotes. And if you don't reply or are fast enough, they'll just like someone else is going to grab it. So per se, before it would take me like a few hours to respond. Now I can just do it like in a matter of minutes because everything is already like preset and everything is like boom, ready to go. So yeah. And then I've heard from a lot of my clients is like that transition that they were used to the old system, that like this is so much smoother, it's so much easier. The question that they get asked at the end of like the logistics, the parking, the tip jar or uniform, little things that you have to do manually, so much back and forth. And if people are not behind the computer, it's going to take them hours or days to respond. So, it just facilitates the whole logistics of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's awesome.
I love it.
That's huge. And how about, do you, I know sometimes as people, when they just have a couple carts, they can often keep so many of those details in their head. Are you currently using like the event brief functionality where you're sending out like the event details to your baristas with the event brief link and all of that to kind of clue them in on the operations and the day of service and what they need to be doing?
Yes, 100%. I still copy and paste a lot of it to my Google Calendar. I haven't let go of that yet. It's one
We
of
got
the
good news for you then here in a second.
I love it. I can't wait. But because we have all of them like incorporated in the Google Calendar, and so they're able to see what shifts are open because they're contractors. And so they'll just like text me or send me a message like I want to grab this one, this and that. And then they'll able to see like all the details in there. But with FlashQuotes, it just facilitated that part of it of me like copy and pasting. Sometimes I'll just like screenshot it and send it to them, but I just feel like it's a little more organized this way.
Yeah.
But it has definitely helped me a lot with the organization and to be able to like split, crews and our teams with who's doing what and where.
Yeah, that's huge. And that's actually the number one feature request by far that we've gotten at FlashQuotes is please add Google Calendar integration. Daniel, do you want to?
Yeah, we're right on the verge of
Crazy.
shipping it. I mean, it's been a work in progress, but we're real close to
I love
releasing that. And we're very much of the mindset integrate with whoever's doing the best thing the best way. And Google and calendars is a pretty good,
Yeah.
good software. And so we're looking forward to integrating with it here really soon. New events will sync, changes to events, event details, the event brief, all that. So that should be really cool.
I love it. I can't wait. I'll be the first one to join. I'm very structured and organized, and I have like a whole like to-do list, and I'm very into like making, like sticky notes and notes here and there for every little detail because it's a lot. I mean, every single event is different and every client asks for different things. And if you don't keep up with it, you just like forget it.
Yeah, it's definitely true.
Talk about intuition, right? As something sort of your heart or your gut knows before your head does, right? Or maybe your head is like fighting it. It's like, no, that's crazy. Don't do that, right? And I think when people have a dream to start something, to go out and build or be entrepreneurial, that can be a part of the equation. It's like, this doesn't make sense. I've got the safety of my day job. I've got all these reasons like in my head, but my intuition is taking me here. What would you say to who's kind of feeling that internal battle?
To just listen to it and go for it. I tried fighting it so much for I think at least 2 years before quitting my corporate job, because in my mind, I had always dreamed of being a journalist and becoming a news reporter, news anchor, and, winning Emmys. And I did, and I felt so accomplished. But I was fighting it so hard because I was like, I'm not, like my inner child, like, how am I doing this to her? This was my dream for so long. And why am I going to just throw it out on the table or throw it out after so many sacrifices that I did through for so many years? I mean, I moved several states and changed from cities to be able to like keep growing in the industry. And I was like, why am I going to throw all of that away to start all over again? I don't have the need. But at the same time, I had it because I wasn't fully happy. I knew inside of me that there was so much more potential to do other things. And I actually went to therapy for this with a psychologist. And she told me, she's like, you got to change your shift. You accomplished that. You fulfilled that dream and you made your inner child happy. And now you're kind of like transforming into someone different because we are not the same person you were even 3-4 years ago. Your priorities change. And even if I ever want to like have a family and have kids, I knew that other lifestyle wasn't going to allow me to do it as I really wanted to, like be a homestay mom or have like more work-life balance and have more days off. So yeah, whoever is kind of like getting that inner voice, that sixth sense of like doing something, go for it. I mean, listen to it. Obviously, educate yourself. And I mean, it's not like I threw myself into the lions. I am very like structured and I try to like get a lot of like education of whatever I'm going to do. But at the same time, if like just hold yourself accountable and do it and don't be afraid and just learn as you go.
Where can people find you, learn more about you,
Yeah.
your company, all that?
IntuiciónCafe.com. That's our website. And then same as Instagram at Intuición Cafe. Yeah, I think, and YouTube, but everything's linked through the website already.
Thanks, Melissa. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Awesome talking to you.